Quantic Media.
Okay then. Hello, let me introduce myself. My name's Booman, and I like shooting games, I like guns, I like rock and roll guns, I like shotguns, light machine guns, sniper rifles, explosives, you name it. If it makes a very loud bang, I'll probably fucking love it. And with that said, this game you're seeing here, a lot of you are going to recognise it. It's Battlefield Bad Company 2, it's the best fucking shooting game in 2010. I love this game with a passion. The only thing I know that's going to take the crown away is Battlefield 3. That's the one game I'm waiting for. But until then, I like to play a little bit of everything. I've got Bad Company 2, Medal of Honor, Halo, Gears of War, Call of Duty, Left 4 Dead. Pretty much anything where I can blast a guy to pieces with a shotgun. And as for videos on YouTube, I like to post, again, a bit of everything. I like variety, and I like seeing some cool stuff. So I like to put up funky montages, fast-paced gameplay, strategy and tips. Basically, I want everything I upload to be either helpful or entertaining, if not both. So that's a bit about me. So now I'll move on to the actual video I wanted to show you. It's some action with the Olympia shotgun in Black Ops. So hope you enjoy it, and roll on Battlefield 3. So I've been running around with the shotgun lately, and it goes by the name of the Olympia. And the Olympia is one of those guns that is regarded by many as the worst gun in all of Black Ops, which I disagree with. I believe the worst gun in this game is a submachine gun by the name of the Uzi. I hate saying that because I feel it should be Uzi. I'm so used to saying mini Uzis, Uzi, but what the fuck. Whatever. The Olympia, I mean, if the developers actually intended to balance the weapons, then they failed horribly. I mean, I can only assume they put the assault rifles in there, and then they just put anything else in the shotgun, submachine gun, snipers category, just to see if people want to challenge themselves. And the Olympia is one of those guns that falls into those categories of only use this if you actually want to challenge yourself. The reason I say that is because it is not as simple as just point and shoot and get a kill. You have to do everything in your power to get behind cover along the way and get inside buildings and out of danger. Like here I've spawned outside on grid, and there's nothing I can do. The first thing I gotta do is get, in a CQB area, which is a building. This is where you're gonna make the best use out of using a shotgun. You gotta get yourself inside CQB areas, which is usually a very compact building. So now you're further limiting yourself because it's map dependent. For that reason, maps that would seem ideal for shotgunning, should you want to try it, would be something like this: Grid, Havana, Summit, Nuketown to some extent. You have to kind of patrol the house, and you don't want to step outside in Nuketown. Firing range, because it's kind of CQB anyway. Crisis would be another, and possibly WMD if you want to stick in the middle building. And even so, with these maps, you've got to try and avoid the outside areas because they are all danger zones. Any long stretches where your gun is out of range, that's bad. Like here on Nuketown, it's very rare that you'll see me step out into this garden. I did it then because there's a napalm burning, and because they're not going to spawn into the fire, so it's pretty safe to walk out there as long as you know no one's there. But now I'm outside in the middle area, and there's lots of cover to go around the bus, behind the jeep, but in between the moving van. So I'm pretty comfortable out here for the moment, but soon enough I'm going to want to go back inside the house, or through the garage to slip through to the back door. But you don't want to expose yourself to the garden area for too long because the bad spawns will happen. So you want to try and stay inside the house as much as you can. And for the Olympia in particular, I will take sleight of hand over steady aim any day of the week because you never know when you're going to run into more than 2 people at a time. Ideally, you want to avoid the packs, but then again, you never know that there's going to be a third ghosty who didn't show up on your radar. So you just want to make sure that you've got the extra shells loaded and ready to fire in the heat of the moment, like so. Now we can go back and rescue B, because this is domination. But if I was to pick a particular game mode that would suit shotguns best, I would say headquarters. Because in headquarters, all the enemies have to gather round in one spot on the map. And more often than not, the headquarters spawns inside a room in a building, which is your ideal fighting terms. And as you'll see here, the best asset you can have to using an Olympia, or any shotgun for that matter, would be counter spy plane. Because if you're planning on staying in the danger zone, like I'm in the room next to the headquarters where they're all flooding into, then you want to make sure that they don't know where you're firing from. So you can see I've got a counter spy plane, and I've been firing off my gun. They're not going to know where I am when I kill them. And while that whole ringing the dinner bell thing might work, where you fire off the gun and then they come running into you, that can work well with the Olympia, but like I say, I'm right in the thick of it. I'm right next to the headquarters that they need to go to. I don't need them to come to me, which is why I'd rather stay hidden. And one of the maps I would not recommend using an Olympia on is Jungle, because this is assault rifle heaven. There's pretty much no cover, and it's just, if you take the B flag area for example, it's just one long stretch of open area, and that's pretty much the whole map in a nutshell. So if you do want to use an Olympia, you're best off hanging around maybe the ruins or the village area, which is near the A flag. And even then, I would recommend picking up a secondary weapon off the ground with a bit of range to it, like I'm about to pick up a sniper rifle off the ground to deal with guys like this guy. Now there's a huge grey area over whether aiming down the sight or firing from the hip will give you better results. I've been using the Olympia pretty much all as prestige, and I can safely say that aiming down the sight has given me much better one-shot kill consistency than hip firing. You gotta remember that the width of the crosshairs whilst holding the gun from the hip can change dependent on your stance. Like for example, the crosshairs will be at their widest when you're walking, and they can be narrowed. You could have steady aim on, you could be standing still, or even better, you could be prone, and the crosshairs will continue to tighten depending on your stance. But the thing is, you could have them at their tightest, you could be prone with steady aim, not moving. But that's the problem. You're not moving. You need to be on the move with the shotgun because you've got to get close to them to fight. But when you're aiming down the sight, sidestepping, strafing, whatever you're doing, standing still, doesn't matter. Aiming down the sight, the spread is always going to be the same. Just make sure that you're aiming at an upper body portion, because you've got to take into account that all the pellets from the buckshot still have their individual damage stats to their head, or their limbs, or their upper torso, you name it. Just try and hit the centre mass, and preferably towards the upper body, and then you're more likely to get your one-shot kills. When you see why I'm behind this box, it's because there were 4 enemies. I'm not going to be able to charge head first outside at 4 people. You need to lure them to you in CQB and fight them one by one in the building. The thing is, as many tips as I can throw at you, you're not going to be able to take all those to heart. Pick up the gun and just do well right off the bat. Like I say, I've been using this Olympia pretty much from level 1. This prestige. It's the only gun I've actually gold camoed or prestige. But you're not going to be able to just put it on the class and do well straight away. You're going to need to get the hang of things and judge every situation, know when to ADS and when not to, know when to sprint and stop sprinting, and know how close you need to be before that shot is going to be a one-shot kill. To summarise all that, you're going to need to get in the groove. And you can see I've been in a bit of a mess here, stuns and flash and whatever, but this is probably one of the most consistent cases of one-shot kills I've ever had. And it's none other than inside the war room on Summit, where they're all flooding through the door and it's all close quarters. As you're about to see, this is pretty much everything I've said, conveyed through the medium of gameplay. And I feel I should mention, in an Olympia-based video, back when the whole Road to Commander thing was huge, I toyed with the idea for a long time of doing an Olympia-only Road to Commander 1 through 50, called Olympia Till I'm 50. And I never went through with it, because I felt there was just too much Road to Commander going on, and while mine seemed a little unique in that I would only use the Olympia, which I thought that would have been an interesting selling point, I was worried there would be simply too much spam, so I never went through with it. But never mind, eh? This clip might look a little familiar to some of you, but I like to end with a bang, so thanks for watching.